Pretty sticky out here today. I'm out for my exercise, taking my kayak out and about here in Thailand. Got my camera phone set up kind of down by my knees here. Hopefully I won't get it too wet. Anyway, yeah, nice day out. Let me show you guys around. Got trawlers coming in from the Gulf of Thailand is out over that way. The air right now is really polluted. There's an air mass that sits over Bangkok, which is over to the left here, about 30 miles as a crow flies. It's off over that way. And we get a stagnant air situation during the dry season, which kind of sucks. But the long and short of it is we get smog that gets cooked by the sun, and it just kind of lingers here. There's a big stork up there. Just kind of lingers. So some days it's not terribly refreshing to get out and about, just because the air's kind of crappy. Let's see if we can get this out of our way here. So anyway, I'm just trying to think of stuff to talk about with you guys. I like to follow all the happenings with our current situation on my computer and get kind of a feel for what's going on. It sounds like my friends down in Australia I've got some Facebook friends that I keep up with, and it sounds like those people are living in total tyranny down there. They can't even go out and exercise unless they've got papers for the SS to review. And you can't go out to eat. You can't go to the movies. You can't do jack diddly in some of the areas of their country that are restricted. Got other folks that I follow online. You guys have probably heard of there's an online venue called the Crow House. Fella from Australia there, really a wise man. He goes by Max Igan, I-G-A-N, and he had an operation on YouTube, and of course it's gone the way of so many YouTube channels that were exposing things for what they really are. They knocked him down, and so he's moved to other venues like Rumble and Brighton, and he got so sick of it that he made a run and got out of Australia proper before he had to submit to any sort of genetic modification procedures. And he made a run to Mexico. Good for him. Another fella I like to follow, his name is Juan Antonio Mansur, and he was Canadian, and I think he was Canadian military, and then ultimately was NATO. And of course they had him all pumped and primed to do NATO's bidding, and he was a model soldier and did what he was supposed to do and did his career. And then just about the time he'd gotten things wrapped up with his career, he figured it out that that was not a legacy he wanted to leave behind. So he's devoted himself to spreading the truth. And he ran, I'm trying to think of where he went. I think he went to some Central American country or Equatorial American country, like Colombia or Peru, somewhere south of the border of the US. Whoa. So another example of someone having to make drastic life changes in order to carry on. We moved out of our country quite some time ago. You know, just because for us personally it was time for a change, but right after we pulled up and left, the whole current carnival ride started with the pandemic. So it was lucky on our behalf that we were able to get out when we did. There's a lot of folks that stayed are, you know, their businesses have had to close, and you guys know they lost their shirts, and you know the mortgage keeps coming. What do you do? Check this out. I've got some stuff to show you over here. Let me see if I can flip my camera around. I guess I'll just have to see those things up in the treetops there. Those black shapes, those are flying foxes. And there's colonies of them. This one probably has 150 foxes in it. They're about 2.5 pounds, 2 to 2.5 pounds. I put up other videos with them in it. They're different from the run-of-the-mill bats that you get. These guys don't use echolocation at all to get out and about. They have really big eyes, so their night vision is spectacular. They find fruit, and they eat a lot of nectar from the flowering trees that we have here. Kind of wonder though if they have periodic exposures to rabies that wipes them all out. I would think that would be a concern. Kind of trippy looking animals. They have them down in Australia too. I guess the way they get water, they've got like a furry mane up around their shoulders, and they'll, in order to get water without being picked off by crocodiles and other predators, they'll fly low over the water and dunk their chests in it, and their chest fur acts like a sponge, and then they can go back up into the treetops where it's safe and lap up the water that's absorbed into their chest fur, so they never have to make themselves vulnerable at the water's edge. It's pretty cool. Some cool birds, a cormorant and a tern. They've staked off a lot of this area down here with a boundary so that the mangrove trees can grow back in to prevent erosion and stuff. It's pretty neat. I like it. It's very peaceful out here. Aside from the boats going by off and on. But you know, these guys out here are working. I was thinking about another website, or another online guy I like to watch is a fellow named Michael Jayco, J-A-C-O. He's a former military, was a kind of like a super soldier sort of thing. I think he was a SEAL. And he's very much in tune with, I guess you'd call it for better terms, ESP, extrasensory perception, using some of the tools that he was born with and that he's been able to sharpen some of his skills, things like intuition and metaphysics type of applications, mind over matter, kind of in line with the 70s research that they did on biofeedback. It's really interesting to hear him talk about stuff that, you know, there's a woo aspect to it. My wife kind of rolls her eyes, but I don't know. I think it's fascinating to hear about how some of these folks have been able to use their perceptive abilities, their super high perception capabilities, to get out of binds militarily and strategically, and just to use those woo-woo skills to navigate life successfully. And what would life be without a little bit of the woo aspect? I think people scoff at it because they don't understand. They don't understand it. But when you really look at it, I think it's an opportunity for people to have better lives if they can study it and understand it and not write it off as silliness. Just because you don't understand something doesn't mean it's not viable and real. It just means maybe you don't have either the capacity or you don't have the mental framework to realistically see what you're being presented with. You can't untangle it with the tools you've got. So I think it's wise to expand your arsenal of tools so that you can untangle the web and that you can navigate life. What would life be without the woo aspect? It would be entirely predictable. There would be no mystery, there would be no awe aspect. And I think that would be a real limited experience without those mystical, awesome things that may not be easy to explain. You may not be able to explain them. But that's okay. Maybe over time you will be able to accumulate the tool set to allow you to explain those aspects that were so confusing. People need to not limit themselves by their limited knowledge base and to always be looking for truth and answers. I think that's part of why we're here. That's part of our human experience. It's not just to survive. We're not here just to make babies and consume, but to unravel the riddle. The beautiful riddle, I guess, is what it is. Sometimes it's beautiful, not always. But if you have a chance to look into some of those online venues that I gave you the information from. The Crow House is one with a fellow named Max Eigen. He's buddies with a guy, Jeff Berwick, does a program called the Dollar Vigilante, and he does a lot of the financial aspects of what we're approaching, like Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, which I don't really follow that closely. I am looking at it, but I haven't had a chance to really dig in deeply yet. That doesn't mean I won't. But he has the Dollar Vigilante, and I think that's on Rumble. Who else is good to watch? A fellow named Royston Potter. He has a website called The Potter Expositor. And Roy does, he's a theologian, very educated man as far as theology and Hebrew. He can read and write in Hebrew. He knows the etymology of a lot of the Bible, the writings of the Bible. So he's a very educated man. He's also a ex-military decision maker that has realized upon his completion of his military career that maybe he might not have always been on the right side of history. So he's worked real hard to expose truths. I think it's interesting that a lot of these guys they're former military, and a lot of them have similar backgrounds where they've spent their entire career, and then once they're out, they're like, holy shit, what was that all about? What was it all for? I need to make this right. So they do what they can personally after the fact to expose some of the things that they can and bring to light some of those doings. Really pretty place out here. I think it's important to find a place like this that you can go to sort through what's going on in your head. Just a place to observe nature. I guess it would be meditating. It's healthy for you to do that, and certainly there comes clarity. You get clarity through spending time in a quiet place among nature. Don't forget to do that. It's vital for your health. It's vital to connect with nature. And don't be so skeptical of what you may not understand. Maybe just observe. Observation will give you the foundation that you need to make sense of what's going on. I'm just going to watch the ships come in for a while, listen to the birds, and I wish you all good things and peace and clarity. And if you get a chance, yeah, check out those other guys online. I think you'd enjoy them. And until we meet again, I guess. Take care, you guys.